For a while now, the MMO landscape has been pretty bleak, specifically in the West. The same games that have been big for a long time are still at the top of the list, and the number of cancelled or failed Western MMOs is starting to get pretty disheartening. That being said, there are quite a few upcoming MMOs that look like they have a lot of promise. Let's talk about a few of them. The first game on this list is Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen. I'm gonna be honest, this game is mostly on the list simply because I've been following it for a long time and it would feel incorrect not to have it here. This upcoming title from Visionary Realms was initially announced in January of 2014 and has run into roadblock after roadblock, and it seems like the team should be commended for pure tenacity at this point. While most games, especially MMOs, tend to run into hurdles at one point or another, 2019 started a series of pretty massive ones for the Visionary team. Having already come across several funding issues and pushing back pre-alpha dates, October of 2019 saw lead programmer Daniel Kren leave the company, followed shortly by the passing of the founder of Visionary and the co-creator of EverQuest, Brad McQuaid. A year later, the team made the decision to completely refactor the game's code so that they could work more flexibly and efficiently in the future, and in April of 2023, Pantheon finally entered into pre-alpha testing. In terms of actual gameplay, Pantheon is a fairly traditional feeling MMORPG with a focus on the social aspects of the genre. Players must work together to explore the world of Terminus and bring the power of the gods back to the land following a devastating war in the past that saw the connection severed. With 9 races and 12 classes, adventurers will form guilds and dive into large, player-filled dungeons to uncover the mysteries of the Deicide War. Overall, there's a lot of time and love being put into this project, but in 2023, the graphics and gameplay seem a bit dated. There's some charm to that, though, and assuming nothing disastrous happens at launch, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen might be a solid option for a certain group of people. Pax Dei is another MMO that's still quite a way away from release. Marketed as a social sandbox MMO, developer Mainframe from Iceland has already shown off a fair bit of footage, and I've gotta say, this is one I'm kind of excited for. Pax Dei is promising some similar things to Amazon's New World: a completely player-driven economy, crafting and gathering to put your clan ahead, and an overall immersive medieval experience are all key selling points. Recent news updates have done a lot to show off features like building homes and settlements, some small lore bits, and even screenshots and videos from internal playtesting. Unfortunately, we haven't really seen much in the way of combat or questing yet, but for a game that's currently in the stage of taking alpha test signups, it looks beautiful graphically, and it seems to be a really ambitious project that I hope the Mainframe team can pull off. If a post-apocalyptic setting is more your speed rather than the typical medieval, then an MMO you might want to keep an eye on is Ashfall. Announced in 2022 by Legendary Star Studios, Ashfall takes place in an Eastern-inspired wasteland, mixing elements of Eastern Asian culture and inspiration from sources like Mad Max to form a new multiplayer survival shooter experience. The dialogue in the recent overview trailer feels a bit stiff.
Take the gun.
But the combat that we get to see looks fast-paced and exciting. Personally, I'm reminded a bit of a combination of The Division and Remnant from the Ashes. This one isn't too high on my anticipation list, but there is a large audience for this exact sort of game. No release date has been announced, but you can sign up on the Ashfall game website to get a chance to join the beta test starting in July. So a lot of MMOs claim to have massive maps and use the size of their in-game world as a selling point, but the Quinfall is claiming to have the largest map in an MMORPG ever. Clocking in at just over 2,000 square kilometers in-game, Valric Technology is really pushing the living world aspect of the universe they've developed. According to the game's page on Steam, Quinfall takes place on a map containing 5 regions and unique climates and biomes. The world will have 4 seasons, a day and night cycle, and changing weather conditions for each one of these regions. This is another really ambitious project, and not just in terms of graphical fidelity and map size. Character customization will be pretty robust. There are dozens of professions and 9 weapon systems. Trade will be dynamic and player-focused with crafting and player-created trade routes. There's also a combined PvP/PvE war system implemented with ship combat, castle sieges, and a focus on the spectacle and depth of it all. If the Quinfall manages to pull off such an ambitious endeavor, it can absolutely be added to the Mount Rushmore of the greatest MMOs sometime in the future. Over the last few years, Dune has really increased in popularity, largely thanks to the movie that came out in 2021, and in 2022, an MMO by the name of Dune Awakening was announced. Set on the planet Arrakis, developer Funcom intends to combine the gritty, creative gameplay of survival games with the social aspects of an MMO. Players will explore the hills and canyons of Arrakis in third person and work to cultivate a life on the desert planet, including exploration beyond the shield wall. It seems as though the real focus is on the survival aspects of the game. On Arrakis, water is scarce. Players will have to learn where to find it and how to manage it to maintain their stillsuit. Other difficult survival choices will be things like where to build your base, where to put your outposts, what to craft, and whether or not to harvest and sell spice, or to use it yourself at the risk of becoming addicted. Remember, he who controls the spice controls the universe. Next on the list is one of my personal most anticipated MMOs, and one that I've actually already made a full video on, Chrono Odyssey. Coming from South Korean developer Inpixel, Chrono Odyssey was announced in late 2020, and then the team stayed mostly quiet until a new gameplay trailer was released a little bit earlier this year. Although we don't know all of the details, we do know that the game will include party-based dungeons, raids, and even world bosses. The most interesting part that we've seen so far is probably an artifact important to the in-game universe called the Chronotector. This device will give the player a unique edge in combat on any of the 6 classes that have been revealed, as well as play an important part in the story. I won't say a ton more about this one here, because I know if I get started I probably won't stop for a while, but if you want to know more about the lore and the gameplay that we've seen so far, I'll leave a link on screen at the end to the video I made a few weeks ago that dives into all of that. Finally, we get to the upcoming MMO that I'm probably the most excited about out of all of them. Ironically, it's also the one we know the least about. So I've been an avid League of Legends player for right at a decade now, so when Riot Games finally announced in 2020 that they were working on an MMO set in Runeterra, I was ecstatic. At this point, we know that the game is fairly early in development and will take place on Runeterra, but that's about it. We can absolutely speculate on races, classes, and locations all day thanks to the fact that Riot already has a lot of that laid out on the Universe website, but they've been pretty tight-lipped aside from what we already know. There are plenty of other MMOs in development out there that I didn't include in this video. It is a popular genre, but one that takes a lot of ambition, planning, and money. We've seen plenty of MMOs look good while they're in development only to flop when they're released, and most of the ones I decided to show in this video are either ones that I expect will find some degree of success, or ones that just looked unique and exciting in a world dominated by World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, and Elder Scrolls Online. If it's not clear by now, I've always been pretty big on MMOs, so if you have others that you know of that look good or promising, drop a comment down below so I can check them out. Thanks for watching the video, it really means a lot to see people enjoying your hard work. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to hit that bell icon. It really helps to encourage me to keep making content for those of you that are enjoying it. See you in the next one.